All the speculation, Anthony Seibold is confident the Trbojevic brothers will finish their careers at Manly. Take a look.
Yeah, they're both really passionate about the club. They both want to stay at the club. The club, we want to keep them. Peter Gentle and Tony Mestrov have met with their agent post-footy as well. You want to keep the Trbojevics around the club. It's just a matter of, making sure it's the right deals for both of those guys. Certainly whilst I'm coach of the club, I want to have Turbo in our playing group. And so, I wouldn't want Turbo to go and play over in the Super League, that's for sure.
Okay, there are two brothers, two players to unpack here, two legends of the Manly Seagulls. Let's start with Tom. Tom Trbojevic, off contract 2027, I believe. Said he'd take a pay cut, even said he'd go to Super League. What a gentleman. What a professional, what a human being. Doesn't want to play against the Manly Seagulls ever. Showed a lot of sacrifice, in that. Wanted to take a pay cut there. I think it was last year. We spoke about it on the show. What's happening there with Tom? What does it look like? Where does his future lie at the Manly Seagulls?
Look, I understand Tom's management are going to sit down with the Manly Seagulls in the next couple of weeks to try and map this out. Because as we know, he is for everything you just said, he's so significant on the Northern Beaches for that football club, and he does not want to leave. He just doesn't want to play against any other NRL club. So that's where the English Super League option has become the other option. Yeah.
But he's on 1.1. Let's just get to the bottom of that. 1.1 at the moment at Manly. How much of a haircut would he need to take to stay, do you think?
Significant.
What are we talking?
And I'm saying that respectfully because of the games he's playing. I think he comes down to that 700 mark.
Okay.
Agree, disagree?
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree. I'd like to see what happens for the remainder of this season. Like, if he gets back on the field and he's able to punch the rest of the season out and he gets back to that form, that destructive, where he's breaking tackles, making line breaks, really
the problem is
sparking Manly's attack.
Since he won the Dally M medal, and even that year, he hasn't looked 100% healthy at all, at any time. Even when he plays, he looks like he's playing injured. It's hard to watch, and I can only imagine what he's going through himself, and I feel for him.
Well, they've tried a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
Gone
at the end of the day,
US.
Hoops, it is a business still. And back what you're saying, they've got to protect their own salary cap. They've got a lot of young guns coming through.
He showed the other night that he's ready to take over the #1 jersey, but you don't want to lose Tom.
But
would the game...
But he'd sign for 700, wouldn't he?
Well, this is the catch. For everything we've just said about Tom, is Tom really going to just hang around? Like, put the burden on the club at 700?
He won't hang around, though. He'll still play.
There will have to be tough conversations in and around his physical capabilities and his body. There has to be. You can't re-sign him.
But wouldn't he play centre?
Concern.
And have the same impact on a game?
Well, that has to, in order to keep Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback, absolutely, there's going to have to be a positional change.
And I think other clubs would put up with that. But if you say, I'm going to sign Tom for 700, because there'd be a club that would want Tom to play fullback.
Is 700 a bit much for a centre, though? I don't know. Or are you happy to pay 700 for Tom Trbojevic?
You're not buying the centre, you're buying Tom
I have to ask the question. If I'm Manly and the loyalty that he's shown, even though he's been injured, and the sacrifice he's willing to make for the team, you'd pay him more just to have him there.
The influence, the leadership.
Yeah.
Every club craves leaders within their team, and Tom's influence on a Lehigh Hopewadi coming through, the next gen of Manly players coming through, you can't deny that. It actually adds dollars to his salary. So, look, I'd be comfortable with that, but there has to be a tough conversation in and around his body.
If you go back a decade, it was Brett Stewart and there was a young Tommy Turbo coming through, and Tom initially played a lot on the wing because Snake was still such a superstar of the game. But I'm with Dave in that I think you've got to keep him at the club, given everything that he has done for that jersey to date. But you have got to strike the right price. I'd think 700 would be as much as you can pay, given what he's been able to get out of his body over the last couple of seasons.
I waved the Perth franchise flag to his management today, and that was waved away again. So not even the new clubs.
Oh, so Tom does not want to play for anybody else, same as Jake, because I think the Dogs offered him the farm years ago, and both of them said no.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. What about Jake? So he's the same off contract 2027 as well?
6, right?
26.
Right.
Yeah.
So the situation there would be is very much a Luke Keary style of deal where let's have if you recall that Luke Keary with the Roosters, it was very much open communication, right? Luke, let's see how you're going. You see how you're going, we'll see how we're going, and then let's just be honest with each other. Same story, same family, super honest. Jake won't muck around, and I think there's a 1-year deal in it for Jake, but again, it has to come back, salary-wise.
What's he around now at the moment?
Well, he's sitting up at around 900, so he's got to come back a fair bit.
He won't be getting anywhere near that.
But I don't think Jake will have an issue with that because he's gone on record, like when Daly did what he did and decided that he didn't want to be part of the club anymore. Jake was one of the players who fronted up, answered the tough questions, said that he could never do this for Manly, and I have got no doubt in the world that he would make the sacrifice for the team. He's been well paid for the last few seasons, but I think he would be prepared at this stage of his career to finish on less.
If he keeps playing for a few more years, he'll be looking like you blokes at the end of it. So I think you should.
We can't all be the Greek god.